Everyone talks about how warm and hospitable Filipinos are. And it's true. They'll welcome you into their homes, feed you until you burst, and treat you like family. But underneath that famous warmth, there's a whole complex, unwritten social operating system running. Ever heard of Hiya or Utang na Loob or Kapwa? These aren't just words, they're deep cultural codes that shape everything: how people interact, make decisions, and even avoid conflict. But here's the hook: translating them directly into English totally misses the point. Shame, debt of gratitude, others, that's barely scratching the surface and can even make them sound negative or simplistic. What if I told you these concepts are actually keys to understanding Filipino resilience, community strength, and that legendary hospitality? How did a history of small, interconnected communities, centuries of colonization, and constant adaptation create these unique social rules that prioritize harmony and shared identity above almost everything else? Get ready, because we're diving into the origin story of Filipino customs, the software that runs Filipino society. So, in our journey so far, we've seen how the Philippines is a land forged by collision and populated by waves of resilient migrants. Its languages are a tapestry woven from ancient roots and foreign threads, and its food is a delicious fusion born from necessity and creativity. The customs? They follow the exact same pattern. They're the software that runs on the hardware of history. At the absolute core, the bedrock of Filipino social psychology is the concept of Kapwa. Now, this is super important. It doesn't just mean other people. It's much deeper. It means shared self, shared identity, a sense of being interconnected with others. It's the idea that you see yourself in others, that the boundary between self and other is fluid. You're not an isolated individual. You're part of a collective. This fundamental worldview influences everything else. Filipino psychology even distinguishes between interacting with ibang tao, outsiders, and hindi ibang tao, people considered one of us. How you behave, how direct you are, depends on whether you see the other person as part of your shared identity. And the goal is often to move people from the outsider category to the insider one. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. And the most visible expression of Kapwa? It's the absolute centrality of family. In the Philippines, family isn't just mom, dad, and kids, the nuclear family. It's everyone. Aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, second cousins you barely know but are still family, plus honorary relations like godparents, ninangs and ninangs from baptisms or weddings, part of the compadrazgo system adapted from Spain, and close family friends who become family. This extended web provides strength, stability, identity, and crucial support: emotional, financial, social. It's common for family members to work together, live near each other, sometimes in multi-generational compounds, pool resources, and rely on each other for everything, from childcare to job opportunities. This intense family focus naturally extends to a deep respect for elders. It's not just about being polite, it's deeply ingrained, a cornerstone of social harmony. You'll see specific gestures, like the mano po, taking an elder's hand and gently touching the back of it to your forehead. It's a beautiful physical sign of deference and asking for their blessing. You'll also hear specific titles used constantly: lolo and lola, uncle and aunt, kuya and ate, older brother and sister. Crucially, these aren't just for blood relatives, they're often used for anyone significantly older, even strangers sometimes, as a sign of respect. And don't forget po and opo, polite markers added to sentences when speaking to elders or authority figures. It's like adding sir or man, but woven right into the grammar. These are the visible customs, the outward signs of the underlying cultural programming. But where do these strong family ties and deep respect for elders come from? And how do they connect to the more subtle internal rules that govern social harmony? Those invisible codes, that's where the real aha moments are hidden. We're about to unpack the meaning behind some of the most fascinating and sometimes confusing Filipino values. If exploring these cultural deep dives is your thing and you want to keep learning with us, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps us continue making these explorations. Okay, ready to look beneath the surface? Let's start with the most iconic image of Filipino cooperation. Remember that classic image? A whole community literally lifting a bahay kubo, a traditional nipa hut made of bamboo and leaves, onto their shoulders to move it to a new location. That is the origin story and perfect visual metaphor for Bayanihan. The word itself comes from bayan, meaning community, town, or nation. Bayanihan literally means being a community, embodying the spirit and soul of the Filipino people. That image of carrying the house isn't just symbolic, it used to actually happen. It perfectly captures the spirit, neighbors coming together, sharing the load, helping someone move their entire world without expecting payment, just for the good of the community. It's Kapwa in action, shared responsibility, mutual support. Today, you see Bayanihan in communities, pooling resources after a typhoon, or overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, sending remittances back home, hailed as modern heroes, Bayani, for supporting their families and nation's economy. This deep-seated need for community harmony also fuels another important value, Pakikisama. This often translates to getting along, maintaining smooth interpersonal relationships, SIR in Filipino psychology, sometimes even conforming to group expectations to avoid causing conflict or disrupting group harmony. In a collectivist society where the group's well-being often takes precedence over individual desires, Pakikisama is the social lubricant that keeps things running smoothly. It means being agreeable, showing camaraderie, avoiding direct confrontation, and prioritizing group cohesion. This often leads Filipinos communicating indirectly, using hints, suggestions, nonverbal cues, and relying heavily on pakikiramdam, shared inner perception, feeling things out, sensitivity to others' nonverbal cues to understand the real message and avoid causing offense. It's about reading the room, understanding unspoken feelings. Now let's dive into one of the most talked about and often misunderstood Filipino values, Utang na Loob. The common translation is debt of gratitude. And sure, it involves reciprocity. If someone does you a significant favor, helps you out in a time of need, you feel a deep sense of obligation to repay that kindness. But calling it just a debt totally misses the crucial part. Loob. Loob means inside, your inner self, your will, your heart, your core being. So, Utang na Loob isn't just an external transaction like a bank loan. It's an internal feeling of profound gratitude, a recognition of a relationship built on mutual support and shared humanity. Kapwa. It's not about a precise one-time repayment that cancels the debt. It's about maintaining that relationship, being ready to help the other person when they need it, keeping the cycle of goodwill and mutual support going indefinitely. It's driven by appreciation and satisfaction, motivating you to give back with equal feeling and intensity. It's less about I owe you, and more about we're connected, we support each other. This explains why favors often extend through families and across generations. It's about maintaining those vital social bonds. Okay, let's tackle the other really complex one, Hiyâ. Usually translated as shame, which sounds purely negative, right? But like Utang na Loob, the direct English translation is woefully inadequate and misses the cultural nuance. Hiyâ is better understood as a sense of social propriety. an awareness of how your actions reflect on yourself and others within your social sphere, especially your family. It's about maintaining face, both for yourself and for your group. Hiyâ motivates Filipinos to live up to accepted standards of behavior. Acting inappropriately, failing to show respect, or being seen as incapable doesn't just embarrass you as an individual, it brings shame, Hiyâ, onto your entire family, reflecting poorly on their upbringing and standing. This is why Filipinos might go to great lengths, sometimes spending more than they can afford on a fiesta or a gift to avoid the Hiyâ of appearing stingy, inhospitable, or unable to meet social expectations. It also plays a huge role in that indirect communication we talked about. You avoid directly criticizing someone, delivering bad news bluntly, or saying no to a request because you don't want to cause them Hiyâ, to make them lose face. But here's the crucial insight. Filipino psychologists like Virgilio Enriquez argue that Hiyâ isn't just about avoiding embarrassment or social disapproval. At its core, it's deeply connected to dignity, self-worth, and a sense of propriety. It's about understanding your place within the social structure and acting accordingly, showing respect to others and thereby maintaining your own honor and self-esteem, amor proprio. Acting without Hiyâ can imply a lack of proper upbringing or disregard for social norms. In the Filipino diaspora, it's even been theorized that emphasizing Hiyâ became a survival mechanism for immigrant parents, teaching children to be mindful of their actions in order to avoid attracting negative attention or discrimination in a predominantly white society. So, while it can manifest as shyness, hesitancy, or lead to avoiding necessary confrontation, Hiyâ is fundamentally about maintaining social harmony and personal dignity within the community framework. It's the sensitivity to social context. And how does all this manifest in everyday interactions? One huge way is through Filipino hospitality. It's legendary for a reason. Welcoming guests warmly, offering them food and drink immediately, even if they just ate, making sure they're comfortable. All this is all driven by Kapwa, treating the guest as one of us, avoiding the Hiyâ of appearing inhospitable, and perhaps even building a future relationship based on Utang na Loob. It's a beautiful expression of these interconnected values. Do you see how these values, Kapwa, Bayanihan, Pakikisama, Pakikiramdam, Utang na Loob, Hiyâ, and amor proprio all interconnect? They form a complex social operating system, deeply ingrained and largely intuitive for Filipinos, designed to maintain harmony, ensure mutual support, and navigate relationships within the community. It all circles back to Kapwa, that fundamental sense of shared self. Think about the origins. Pre-colonial Philippines wasn't a unified nation, but a collection of largely independent, self-sufficient communities called barangays. These were often based on kinship, ranging from small settlements of 30 to 100 families to larger coastal principalities involved in trade. Leadership was typically held by a datu, raja, or sultan, often advised by elders, who functioned as lawmaker, judge, and executive, ruling through custom and consensus. Within these communities, there were social strata. The datu's noble class, maharlika, freemen, timawa, and various dependents or slaves, alipen, with differing obligations. Survival and prosperity depended heavily on cooperation. You needed your neighbors to help build your house, bayanihan, plant and harvest crops, defend against rivals, and maintain community order. In that tightly knit, interdependent context, maintaining smooth relationships, pakikisama, reciprocating favors, utang na loob, and being highly sensitive to social standing and potential offense, Hiyâ and pakikiramdam, weren't just polite suggestions. They were absolutely essential for the community's functioning and survival. Centuries of colonization, first by Spain, then the US, briefly by Japan, layered new influences, like the compadrazgo system, reinforcing kinship ties, and imposed new power structures. But these core communal values endured. In many ways, they became powerful tools for resilience, helping Filipinos navigate foreign rule, economic hardship, and social upheaval by relying on their tightly knit networks of family and community. The emphasis on family loyalty, the intricate web of reciprocal obligations, Utang na Loob, the careful management of social interactions to preserve harmony, Pakikisama, Hiyâ, and the striving for social harmony, these became defining characteristics of Filipino culture, shaped by both indigenous roots and colonial experience. Of course, like any operating system designed for a different era, these values can have potential bugs or face challenges in the rapidly changing, modern, globalized, and increasingly digital world. Pakikisama might sometimes stifle necessary criticism or dissent in the name of harmony. Utang na Loob can unfortunately be manipulated in politics or business to demand loyalty over competence. Hiyâ might prevent individuals from speaking up against injustice or asking for help or asserting individual needs. The strong emphasis on family can sometimes lead to nepotism. And as Filipino society becomes more urbanized, individualistic, and connected online, researchers are exploring how these traditional relationship-based values are adapting or eroding. But despite these challenges and ongoing evolution, the core principles, the profound importance of Kapwa, the deep value placed on relationships, the willingness to help others, Bayanihan, the emphasis on respect, and the striving for social harmony remain incredibly strong. They are the invisible threads that continue to bind Filipino society together, shaping everything from vibrant family fiestas to workplace dynamics to national identity. Understanding these customs isn't just about learning surface-level etiquette. It's about gaining insight into the heart and soul, the historical programming of the Filipino people. And these deeply held values and beliefs also powerfully shape the stories Filipinos tell themselves about the world, about morality, about creation, and about the things that go bump in the night. What happens when ancient animist beliefs in nature spirits and ancestor worship collide with Catholic saints and horrifying shape-shifting monsters? That's next time as we explore the captivating origin of Filipino myths and folklore. Okay, that was a deep dive into the Filipino social psyche. Which customer value resonated with you the most? Was it the foundational concept of Kapwa, shared self, the powerful image of Bayanihan, literally moving mountains or houses, the complex layers of Utang na Loob that go way beyond simple debt, or the nuanced understanding of Hiyâ as being about dignity and social harmony, not just shame? How do these compare to customs in your own culture? Let me know your thoughts and aha moments in the comments below. This was part 4 of our 10-part series. If you found this exploration of Filipino values insightful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss part 5, the origin of myths and folklore. Get ready for aswangs, diwatas, and maybe even Batahala himself. Thanks for watching.